Hey, just so you guys know, yeah, I'm putting this video up on YouTube and stuff, but it's also going up on Full 30 and BitChute. The links to both of those channels are in the description below. We recognize that, you know, YouTube does, you know, their own retarded shit, and they're a private company, so they can do whatever the fuck they want. But then again, so are we. So if you don't want to support that, go ahead to the links in the description below and check us out there. Jesus Christ.
It's still strong.
Jesus Christ, dude. Shit's ridiculous. Alright. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and this is Regular Guy Training. With me I have...
Some guy named Josh.
Again. So, today we've got actually kind of a cool... it's kind of a talking piece for the most part. There's more talking than shooting.
Yeah,
that
definitely
we were going to do, for sure.
Yeah.
But, this is a Gen 4 Glock 20.
Yep.
Right?
This is mine.
This is his baby, so I'm going to let him...
Okay, so, you know, as we're starting to get into shooting in our early stages, it's all about, oh, powerful this, powerful that. Well, I got into the 10mm. I love the idea of it. I had 3 of these for a while. I had a Colt Delta Elite that I sold, which I wish I didn't. And I got this for woods carry. What I mean by that is animal defense when I'm out hiking and camping and stuff like that, depending on where you live. Mm-hmm. You might be in their territory. Mm-hmm. That's their home that you're invading.
Bears and shit, bucks
Bear
and
shit,
heat.
just anything. Plus, it's just nice to have a firearm that has a good bit of oomph behind it.
Knockdown power.
Oh yeah, knockdown power. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to not say though when you're racking like an entire dueling tree plate rack.
Yes.
On one hit.
This is a beast, honestly. I love it. I stippled very aggressively on this one, and it still kind of slips out of my hands. I'm pretty weak sauce.
It's got
trigger
cuts
undercut
in it under it too.
And then you probably might not see it very well. A bunch of sandpaper. Yeah, that's cool and whatnot. Like I said, woods carry gun.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of good things with sandpaper, and why not just stick it on there? You know, blood, sweat, getting wet or whatever. But yeah, what do you think about it?
You know, it's funny because for the longest time I wasn't really that much of a fan of the 10mm. Mostly because my stance on it was, well, if you need something that high pressure and all of that, carry a rifle with you. That was my original stance on it.
Yeah.
And to a point, a lot of me still leans in that direction. However, there are just situations where it's just better to carry it around. For instance, if you're hiking and whatnot in a very public place where a lot of motherfuckers are hiking around,
right,
and that kind of stuff. I mean, it's on a Glock 21 frame.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And if you know how to do this worth of shit, you can conceal carry this perfectly fine. Look, and I know that there's going to be people that are going to sit there and laugh and be like,
yeah,
fucking, you know, no, I've appendix carried and concealed very, very well Glock 21s before, you know. Yeah, obviously I'm not going to sit here and say that it's the most comfortable thing ever because it feels like I have a brick strapped to my head. But it's one of those things where it's like if you have a higher riding holster and stuff like that, and if it's appendix and if your fucking shirts are like skin tight, okay, you can hide one of these things just fine and you can carry it around on like your little hikes or whatever, or wherever you plan to carry it, okay?
Right.
And if you have wildlife to deal with, like you said, it's something that you can deal with. And let's say that we have to actually deal with self-defense. If you shot this enough, honestly, it's an extraordinarily accurate pistol. You just see in the shoot footage, we're not shooting it very well. You know, behind you are a bunch of rifles and stuff that we came out to 0, and we're touching off like light intermediate cartridges, 5.45 and 223 guns, and then we go to one of these, and obviously, like, if I sat here and think about it, I can hit stuff, but you guys saw, me shooting up close, it was awful.
Especially for me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But it's one of those things where it's like, if I got to deal with a dude about 7 yards away, You know, it's
Could be a very, very bad day for that person.
it's especially since it doesn't sound like a pistol in a lot of respects when it's being shot, especially if there's stuff that echoes noise of any kind.
Oh, this particular gun indoors, like an indoors range, it gets ridiculous. You get a lot of attention.
It almost tries to boom. It almost tries to boom out here.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's
moving.
Yeah, it is what it is. Now, in this particular format, there's a lot of guns in 10 millimeter that I don't like at all. I am a 1911 guy. 10 millimeter 1911s annoy the shit out of me because they buck.
I had one
really hard. You had one of those.
Colt Delta Elite.
Yeah, the Colt
original,
Delta
the original
Elites.
one, 1988 model.
Yeah. So I mean, they don't handle that recoil very well at all because 1911s and a lot of 1911 guys aren't willing to admit this. But if you have a 1911 in 9mm or 45 and you have its counterpart in a Glock, as far as calibers are concerned, if you slow down the high-speed footage, right, a Glock cycles flatter than one of those guns do. So in this format, as large as it is and as flat shooting as it is, it's very, very controllable, especially with these real deep cuts. You know, if you get really aggressive with it to where your palm is almost level with the freaking E-port and all that shit, it handles itself really well, even though there's like some pretty good concussion and muzzle flash coming off of this thing. It handles itself very, very well, especially for a 10 millimeter.
Yes.
So, especially with the ammo that you've loaded.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. I actually hand load. That's a whole long discussion, and I don't give out load data. It's just a safety thing. You have to build your own.
Yep.
Anybody that's interested in reloading or does will understand that and also appreciate that. What's cool about the 10 millimeter, there's a large range of preferable grain, like the weight of the projectile. The standard size originally back in the late 80s was 200 grains at 1200 feet per second. That was like the standard. That's ridiculous to the point if you look at any of the old FBI statistics, and when they tried to go to the 10 millimeter, it had some issues, and most of them just couldn't handle it. It's pretty ridiculous. It's fun though, and then that's how the 40 Smith & Wesson came. But
because it's that cut in half.
Yeah, they realized once they downsized the power of this, they had a large empty space for the powder and blah blah blah. It wasn't consistent. It's a long story.
Yeah, and there's a million reasons why 40's actually pretty trash when it's in its own.
Yeah, they wanted to get into a smaller frame.
Yeah,
and that's where they succeeded.
Yeah, or not. That's a different discussion.
Yeah, I'm not a 40 fan. I tried. I did it. I loaded it alongside this. It's the same exact projectile and everything. It's just no. It's too higher pressure. No. But what I was saying, sorry, getting off on a tangent. What I was saying about the weight range is I usually load anywhere from 155 to 180. I go by, book specs and I work on it. What we shot today, you've just seen, is the maximum I feel comfortable with in the stock barrel configuration. We'll just say, if it were a 40, it'd be a 40 plus maybe. Yeah.
Fully bullet setback, 40 plus P plus,
yeah,
something like that.
Which is fun, but difficult to handle. And so I can show you a little bit what it looks like compared to a 9mm, which because I don't have a 40, I don't have those anymore. It doesn't look like much. Standard 9mm, and then your 10mm. So the 40 is actually about 30 thousandths of an inch shorter. These are Hornady XTPs. These things are nasty, as you've seen on the plates. Focus. Okay. As you've seen on the plates. It's a fun caliber to work with. That's really it.
I mean, and it's one of those things where it's like it's not a 45 in that it doesn't have that diameter.
Right.
And that's what a lot of guys focus on. But what it does have is it has a stupid amount of speed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heat behind it as well. Like, just impact force is kind of ridiculous.
Yes.
To where we've seen 45s hit those dueling tree plates and stuff before, and they'll swing one plate pretty hard, but it's never tried to swing multiple plates.
Yeah.
The only thing that we've done before is where it swings it that violently is with a rifle at like 100 yards. Right. Obviously, there's energy lost in 100 yards, but that's not the point that we're making. The point that we're making is that if this is literally all you got, and you want to use this on four-legged animals that are much tougher than human beings, which would be just about all of them, this is actually pretty good for what it is that you're trying to use it for.
I think so too.
Yeah. There are a lot of guys that get crazy with the modifications of like a 10 millimeter pistol and stuff like that. This is probably my favorite configuration ever. Really aggressive grip stippling and all that stuff. Good cuts so that your hands can get in nice and deep.
Yeah.
And the grip tape in there is great for just running that big chunky slide and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I personally really like it. So for guys that are into 10 millimeter and stuff, this is like a cult following in and of itself.
And I'm part of it.
Right. But for guys that have never really gotten into it before or want to get into it, or move over a tab, that kind of stuff. Like, the thing about it is that buying this stuff factory is stupid.
Yes.
And how stupid is it?
The very first and only box I ever bought that was factory ammo, it was a little over $30 for 50. I bought Steel 9, if that means anything. Because I reload, that's what really made it justifiable into this. So if you don't do that, it's kind of a put off, I think. But if you do get into the reloading, or you already are, it's a really fun caliber to play with. There's a lot of versatility in this. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
So I mean, it's sort of a review on the Glock 20. But it's more of a talk on the caliber.
Right.
We just thought it was something that was really neat, something that he's been into for a while, that he swayed me into, because I was like hardcore against 10 millimeter for the longest, because I'm just kind of like,
why though? Yeah.
Yeah, why? I would rather fuck around with a rifle or 45 plus P plus if I'm really trying to screw around with this kind of shit. But having shot it and understanding what you could do to the caliber itself, especially for the dudes that tinker with reloading, okay, now I'm on board.
Yes.
You see what I mean? I'm down with that.
Yeah. This roughly is 155 grain Hornady XTP, cruising out close to 1,500 feet per second.
Yeah.
If you do the math,
it's
it moves.
Yeah, I mean, some simple math and a couple of charts will basically compare that to your favorite self-defense 9mm. the difference, honestly, the difference between the two is a joke.
Yeah.
Really. We're going to be doing other reviews today. Like, we're getting ready to shoot a frickin' M&P Compact, right? And the minute we start doing stuff with this, it's probably going to be so fast we're bad, because going from one to the other is a fucking joke.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're getting ready to go ahead and do more shooting and testing and all that stuff with like the M&P 2.0 Compact here. Like, that's in my waistband right now. But and it's not to sit here and say, hey, shoot one and then do the other, blah blah blah. No, it's to illustrate this has a lot of ass behind it for a pistol.
Right.
And for like the Magnum caliber pistol guys, 10 millimeter is actually kind of on the short end. Like,
yeah, it's
between like 44 Magnum or Casull or whatever.
This is just a hair step below 41 Magnum or Auto, whatever you want to call it. But this is as far as I know, the largest caliber in an auto loading configuration. That really means something.
That doesn't suck.
That doesn't suck. So your standard magazines in a Glock are 15 rounds.
Yeah, because obviously there's bigger Magnum calibers in other pistols out there.
Wheel
like
guns especially.
Yeah, well, auto-loading pistols, for instance, the Desert Eagle is 50 Action Express, 44 Magnum, and 357 Magnum.
Yeah.
Of the three, 357 cycles the best. Like, the other two actually kind of cycle like shit out of Desert Eagles. Now, there's going to be somebody in the comments that's going to have a point completely to the contrary, but it's from what I've seen individually. Right. So, I mean, as far as like your harder hitting pistol calibers, especially in this configuration, especially with the recoil system that's in here, especially with how flat it shoots, this is probably my favorite configuration for that, like I've said already. Yeah. So, I mean, before we go on and babble on it over and over again, I mean, that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. Yeah. This particular Glock for me serves a purpose, and I get to play around with loading.
Yep.
So,
not to mention, honestly, it's okay to have fun. This is a fun as shit caliber to shoot.
Very fun.
Especially if you start doing like one-handed stuff, if you start backing up at distance. I mean, even at 100 yards, this thing hits fucking hard.
Really hard.
Like with 9 and 45, you shoot at 100 yards and you hit a plate, and it's like a really, really light. Yeah, like that real
would
suppressed
do some damage,
ding. Yeah. Whereas if you recognize what you're shooting, what's in your hands, that this is a pistol, and you fired it at 100 yards, and then recognize how loud it hits the steel, you're still sitting there like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't want none of that.
No,
so
this thing moves.
yeah. So, it's more of us gushing on this configuration and his ability to play around with loading and that kind of stuff. We figured it was kind of cool to come out and talk to you guys about it.
I've been bugging him for a year. Like, come
Exactly.
on, man, dude, I got all the stuff.
You'll notice that a lot of the stuff that ends up becoming really, really good shit on this channel is stuff that he's been bugging me about for at least 6 months.
Yeah, that's about right. Okay.
So, I mean, unless you got anything else, I'm done.
No, if I forgot anything or I was wrong, just let me know in the comments, obviously.
Yeah.
Because this just kind of happened on the fly today.
Yeah, and obviously if there are any questions or anything like that, throw them in the comments section below.
Yeah.
I will probably default a lot of the answers to him because as far as this is concerned, I just know how to swing the hammer. I don't know much more about it.
It's his channel. I just brought the cool gun.
And you showed up to shoot today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this time it's my ammo, though.
Hey, look at that.
That's a
It's
first.
the one fucking time.
And I
Literally the one time.
And I had my buddies scrounging for brass because this shit is expensive.
Yeah, it really is. So, with that being said, guys, all of the shit you're used to hearing at the very end, links in the description below for Training Company, freaking Facebook,
Yeah.
Patreon,
Yeah, screw
all that.
YouTube.
All of that, all of those links are in the description below. And remember, guys, a regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.